after the war as a Conservative MP, he won his seat to drive down the unemployment crisis, to remove slums and overcome the housing crisis. Jack Brunel Cohen had lost both legs at the Battle of Ypres in 1917, and having made his maiden speech sitting down, worked tirelessly on behalf of disabled servicemen of all faiths. Because British Jews were now part of the mainstream, they served in all positions on both sides of the House. Therefore, some would be for and some would be against all major acts of Parliament. So, in no particular order, we celebrate their many achievements. Born in Toxteth, Herbert Samuel introduced the Children's Charter to protect the exploitation of children. He became Home Secretary in 1916, and in 1917 he was appointed Palestine's first High Commissioner. This made him the first Jew to govern the land of Israel in 2,000 years. In 1926, back home in England, he helped stop the general strike, and in 1931 he became the leader of the Liberal Party, the first unconverted Jew to lead a major British political party. He then went on to become a cabinet minister in the first national government, which was his idea. Quite a career. Alfredmond Liberal failed his science degree. Oh dear. But no, he founded chemical giant Mond ICI. He stopped agricultural land being nationalized, fought for welfare reforms, and donated the family's collection of old masters to the National Gallery. Thank you, Alfred. Bertram Strauss introduced the traffic bill and the first speed limit for cars. And Leslie Hoare Belisha, as Minister of Transport, introduced the driving test, along with Belisha beacons and traffic signals for pedestrians.
And my first thoughts, when I became Minister of Transport, were for the safety of those who have to cross the road. When the light is red and is holding up the traffic, the pedestrian may, of course, cross with safety.
Belisha went on to become War Minister at the start of the Second World War.
War Minister Hoare Belisha, after inspecting the Guard of Honour, proceeds to open them. The sitting rooms have central heating. There's a wardrobe in each bedroom, hot water for shaving, and even shower and slipper baths. All nice and dandy. The only thing that's missing now is a sergeant to kiss them goodnight.
Phillips Sassoon, as Under Secretary of State for Air, helped dramatically expand the RAF just before World War II. He worked with Leslie Hoare Belisha to build the potential for air supremacy. Otherwise, the Battle of Britain might have been the last Battle of Britain. And between 1942 and 1945, another Jewish MP, George Strauss, became Minister of Aircraft Production. Back to the countdown. Sir John Simon in 1870 had tried to abolish capital punishment. But in 1965, Sidney Silverman introduced this as a private member's bill, got it through, and the hangman got the chop. Ouch!
The permissive society is considered by some youngsters to be trendy and with it, and contains all the disruptive elements which would tear down the pillars of our society.
Gerald Nabarro came to fame for going the wrong way around a roundabout and was immortalized by Monty Python for having a pet prawn called Simon.
I've heard tell that Sir Gerald Nabarro has a pet prawn called Simon, and you wouldn't call Sir Gerald a loony, would you?
Another extrovert was solicitor and social reformer LeoAudible. Famed for his 18th century dandy outfit, he led the legalization of homosexuality in the 60s. He compared the imprisonment of homosexuals for long periods in male jails to incarcerating a sex maniac in a harem.
He was so successful that he got more backbench socially reforming legislation on the statute book than any other individual MP in the 20th century.
When I entered the House of Commons, I decided that I would devote my parliamentary life to endeavors to humanize and civilize our laws.
ABSI successfully inspired 9 Private Members Acts, liberalised the divorce laws and brought about the first ever Children's Act. But despite many successes, he failed to have Alice Cooper banned from performing in the UK. In 2000, he married his second wife 50 years his junior, but sadly he passed away 8 years later. Sir John Simon pioneered a bill allowing married couples to sleep together in workhouses, where they had been separated before. Phil Piritin, communist, anti-fascist and defender of tenants' rights, was a pioneer during the Blitz. He stopped underground stations closing at night and was the first to lead the poor and disadvantaged into London's tube system. He made sheltering from the bombs here commonplace, saving thousands of lives. Maurice Orbach was chairman of the National Council Against Racial and Religious Discrimination. He got the Race Relations Act onto the statute books. And number 1? Well, here's a clue. It could be Arthur Samuel, Financial Secretary to the Treasury, who wrote The Herring, Its Effect on the History of Britain. Based on this book, British resources were successfully used to rebuild the nation after the First World War. But our number 1 could be so many other parliamentarians.
The Jewish community has contributed to Britain some very great parliamentarians. It would be invidious to single them out by name, but if there is something they share, it is their attachment to the classic Jewish values. The rule of law, social justice, a fair society, tolerance, and a society of care and compassion. And always Jewish parliamentarians have been to the fore in those movements, and we should be very proud of their contribution, which continues and will continue into the future.